Welcome to 4 Questions with an Engineer, a podcast about bearings and motion control. Each episode discusses one aspect of motion control and the bearings that make it happen. Advancements in robotics and AI have many people talking about how humanoids will eventually take over dangerous and repetitive tasks. The growth in this market is evident from this year's Robotics Summit that took place in Boston and featured speakers from Agility, Disney, and NVIDIA. Today we are speaking with robotic engineers Yaman Obaid and Nick Jarnick about their visit to the show and what they learned. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. Let's begin by diving into emerging trends that were discussed. What were people talking about at the summit?
I would say everyone was talking about how they needed everything to be more compact and more lightweight, and everyone was talking about customization of either actuators or customization of limb designs, and how that needs to be more ergonomic. One of the humanoid robotics manufacturers said that, well, we have our knee designed this way for the purpose of knees get in the way of grabbing bulky items that are low to the ground, so they had to design it a certain way to avoid that obstacle. And they said there's still a lot more mechanical updates and limb designs that need to be made more efficient and made more versatile.
And it's also kind of taking a look to see where the inspiration were of some of the designs of the robots, both humanoid and industrial. Kind of bouncing off of what Yaman was saying, the design inspiration behind the actual leg components of this humanoid manufacturer was centered around the way that a majority of the animals on the planet move. When you look at birds, when you look at dogs, all of them have a reverse knee function. Humans are one of the only ones that actually have a front bending knee. What they've seen in terms of better application, especially because their main goal is warehouse implementation to start with, having a backwards bending knee makes things much easier to pick and sort. And that's also, from my understanding, a lot of where their design inspiration came for prototyping the bipedal motion of these humanoids.
To add also, I would say a lot was spoken about AI and how that is helping certain companies stay ahead of their competitors. It seems like AI is leading the way in terms of it's the next thing that really needs to be updated, and everyone's focused on that for this at this time.
And AI is going to be the tool that allows for much better automation and self-learning for these humanoids. Rather than them being programmed to do a certain task, they can use the AI to learn from their mistakes or continue to learn from what they do to complete the task more efficiently and make things much more streamlined in their application, whether it's in warehouses or manufacturing facilities. It just makes things a little bit easier if somebody doesn't have to go back and constantly code, reroute, and reprogram the robots when they can do it themselves.
Yeah, one good point that was brought up by one of the speakers was AI. There's so much data. Once you put those robots into the real world, there's so much data that needs to be stored and processed. And at one point it becomes like there's no way any processor can go through all that data, right? So you need an AI that can take that data and learn from it without having to process it separately. So basically the AI would take care of it, and it would become a learning machine. So once you put it in a real world application, if it goes through a certain obstacle, doesn't need to process, what do I do with this? It'll just know what to do with it from previous obstacles that it faced before.
The show had a number of educational sessions and an expo. What caught your attention?
Definitely would be for space applications. It wasn't necessarily a humanoid or an industrial arm, but rather a 3D printing type of robot where it would be launched and landed. But they were planning on landing it on the moon to start with because it would be the closest celestial body to the Earth to kind of get started and get good testing in. And from there, once it's landed, it extends and it opens up to its full potential, and then it starts to actually print whatever's programmed down there. But I can definitely see this being applied to humanoids as well. But it is definitely going to take some time before things kind of move in that direction.
I think that was a really cool application. The team was from Korea. They came, they packed everything in 3 suitcases, they told me, and it seemed like they want to take this robot so what they had was 3 corners, and they were fixed to the ground. What they're planning to do is have 3 carts on each leg, right? Once they send it to the moon, they want it to basically deploy itself and once it deploys, it prints whatever is on it, right? They want to be like the first one to get to the moon and print things on the moon, and it seemed really cool. I mean, I never thought that could be possible before I went to the show. And I would say like another one that was really cool is to see how advanced the medical robots have become. I mean, we saw one of the like industrial arms, but much smaller, and it was like one big arm with three smaller arms coming out of it, and it seems like you have two doctors in one arm that will probably do a surgery of some sort, and that was really cool to see as well.
What did you see in humanoid design that was innovative and practical for real-world applications today?
Definitely going to be bouncing off the fact that the way that they move, kind of referencing once again the reverse bending knee that some of these humanoids have, and you could kind of see that how the humanoids that are being developed are kind of being shaped by their application. And then, I mean, other unique designs is kind of like the fact that you can understand the animal that it's supposed to mimic, like some of the quadrupeds mimicking a dog. But then you also kind of see that how it has like all these little fancy knickknacks on there, like LiDAR sensors, scanners, cameras, which still kind of gives you the impression that it's bio-inspired, it comes from an animal, but then you kind of get to the more mechanical side of it and see that at the end of the day, it is a machine, but it's an incredibly smart machine that's going to continue to evolve and change as more information is collected and we kind of see where it's going to be going.
How can robotic engineers balance customization and scalability?
So it's like if you take a look at like a BMW, and we'll look at the BMW 4 Series, there's different models of it, like the BMW 428, then you have the 430, then the 435, then the 440. It's the same, it starts off as the same standard design, but the more expensive the car gets, the more options you get with it, such as a strong, more powerful engine, a better transmission, all-wheel drive. Then you get to some of the entertainment stuff like speakers, and like the way that it looks on the inside, making it look a little bit more sporty. I think the same thing is going to be happening to a lot of these humanoids in the sense of you'll have a standard design the way that it looks, but you'll have options to make it more suited towards what you need. Like you might need one that has more powerful actuators because you have a higher load capacity. You might need one that has a larger battery or multiple battery packs because the runtime of the robot needs to be longer. Stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, you want eyes on it so it looks a little bit more human-like so it doesn't scare away your employees while it's working with it. So kind of in that sense. So it's going to be a balance between there, and I believe that the more expensive the robot is, the less models of it are going to be out, and the ones that are more standard that are going to be the most popular. But it's going to give you the option of making it better, making it more improved from the initial design.
Yeah, I mean, following on what he said, you want to have something that is somewhat standard, right? It's going to be custom from the point that this is a new market that's emerging, but it's still going to be something that's standard, that just like any other manufacturing, like a new product development, you always want to have something that is really efficient, that accommodates most of your customers, and that will be your standard. And then once you have that, you will go off and see each customer's specifications and see how you can implement multiple add-ons or multiple extras that you can add depending on the customer needs.
And that is all for today. Visit CCTY online at cctygroup.com for more information about robotics and the bearings that move them.